Hi, this is Professor Lipscomb. I want to help you improve your HSPT score. Now, I hadn't seen one of these tests until a couple days ago, and on the quantitative math section of the test, there were 50 questions, and 10 of these questions were series questions. And these series questions are not too hard if you know some tricks. Now, again, out of 50 questions, 10 of them were serious questions. And frankly, when I looked at them the first time, some of them were pretty hard for me, and I am pretty good at math, or I've been told. So you need to be able to execute in 40 minutes, 50 questions on this quantitative section, so you don't have time to mess around when you're looking at these tests or test questions. So I want to show you how to analyze 5 different types of these series questions very quickly and practice them, and so you will be as prepared as possible for your HSPT. Now, I'm going to show you the actual questions off the HSPT. I've taken snapshots with my iPhone, and I've put them on my screen. So you're not, these aren't things that I've made up. These are the actual sample questions that I cannot believe are on this quiz or on this test, because some of them, frankly, have no basis in any standards of math that exist in the Common Core, the old California Core, the any core at all. These only exist on the HSPT, and you will see what I mean shortly. So without further ado, let's move forward, and I'm going to teach you the 4 kinds of series. Now, a couple of the kinds of series are, in fact, standards, but the majority are not. So let's move over to our share screen here. Okay, here we go. So this is on the HSPT quantitative section of the high school placement test that you are required to take if you're going to go to Catholic school in the Bay Area. And we're going to talk specifically about series questions. And when I looked at this sample test, 10 of the 50 questions, 20%, yeah, let's mark that down. Let's highlight that. 20% of the questions were series questions. So knowing these tricks are going to help you a ton on the test. So let's look at those 4 different types of, or 5 different types of questions. So let's look at type number 1. So these ones are standards that you will see in math. And I think that it's fair to have to know these and be tested on them. So let's just look at the first type. And the first type is one like this. It looks like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, blank. And in the HSPT now, all the questions are multiple choice, but I'm not going to look at these as a multiple choice test. I'm going to expect that you can actually identify the actual number that goes in here. And then on a multiple choice test, this will become easier. On all multiple choice tests, I recommend always trying to guess the answer without looking at the answers, so that when you look at the answer and you see it in your list of 4, you can be very certain that your answer, or pretty certain that your answer is in fact correct. So that's, again, the way I recommend that you do a multiple choice test. So this is type 1. Type 1 says, well, the first thing you should do when you look at a series of numbers is you should look for a pattern. And usually there's 2 kinds of patterns. It's either a multiply pattern or an add pattern. So let's look what we have to do to get from each element to the next. And if we can just see this, that everything is +2. So we can write +2, +2, +2. So we can be pretty sure that the answer to this question is indeed 11. We have to add 2 on down the line. All right. So let's look at another version of this, and this is a little bit more complicated, perhaps, but we'll do it the same way. 1, 2, 4, 7, 11, and you're going to do this the same way. You're going to come in and you're going to say, well, this is +1, this is +2, this is +3, this is +4. So when they ask you for the next one, you're going to say, oh, well, that's +5, and so my answer is 16. So these are more basic types of series questions. I think these are reasonable types, and this is kind of the A version. The B version looks like this, and I'll start to encourage you to do these problems before I tell you the answer, but this one looks like this: 4, 2, 1, a half, what comes next? So I'll let you try and figure out what number comes next. I encourage you to pause this video early and often. So let's look at this. Let's say, well, this is -2. Well, this is -1. This is minus a half. Well, I'm not really minus a half. I'm not really seeing a pattern, a subtraction or an addition pattern here. So we're going to go to the second strategy, which is look for the multiply pattern. Well, this is a half. You know, this is times a half. Oh, 2 times a half is 1. 1 times a half. These are all times a half. So this is times a half. We keep cutting these things in two. Half of 4 is 2, half of 2 is 1, half of 1 is a half of a half is a fourth. So we got 1, A, and B. So you either have the add pattern or you have the subtract, or the multiply. The multiply pattern. And this could also be thought of as the divide pattern, because instead of multiplying by 2, you can think of this as dividing by, instead of multiplying by half, this could be thought of as divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, all the way down. Either way is fine. So there's our adding and dividing patterns and multiply patterns and add patterns. Okay, so let's look now at type of question number. So this is question type number 2, and this is going to get a little bit more involved. And so here, an example of this one looks like this: 8, 16, 6, 12, 2, 4, and then blank. Okay, this is actually what I call a double pattern. So if you look from here to here, you're kind of, see if you can find the pattern. The pattern is what I call a skip pattern, and you see it, one pattern this way, and you see the other pattern on the other pairs of numbers. So see if you can find those patterns, and then see if you can find the answer. So pause the video and then start it. Okay. So let's look. So this is all. So this pattern is times 2, times 2, times 2. Let's see if we can find the pattern on the top. Well, that's -10, -10. So we can say, well, this is -10. So 4 minus 10. Our answer here is -6. So that's called what I've called the paired pattern, where you have one pattern going on the top, and then every even set of every other pair of numbers, and then a different pattern on the first pattern. So now let's look at pattern type number 3. Now this is what I call, so that's pattern type 2, and we're going to see some examples later on, and we're going to come back to those. We'll come back to this, and we'll see it again in the HSPT test. So now type number 3 is what I call an interleave pattern. You don't have to remember this name. And this is basically 2 sets of patterns where the first, third, fifth, seventh, and ninth number are one pattern, and then the second, fourth, sixth is a separate pattern. And let me just show you what I mean. I'm going to see if you can see it, and then I'm going to explain it to you. So let's look at this pattern. Oops, let me make this easier. And this is a hard one to see. And so why don't you pause the video, stare at this, and see if you can figure it out. If you can figure this out, kudos to you. It is not obvious. I've asked a number of people this question, but again, this pattern actually appears on the HSPT on 4 or 5 of the problems, this pattern alone. Okay, so stop the video, give it a go, and come back when you're ready to try it out. Okay. Now I assume you've given it some effort. Now I want to give you a hint, and I'm just going to draw some shapes. And I want to see if you can now figure out the pattern. Okay. Now do you see the pattern? Take a second to look at this. Pause the video if you need. Stare at the pattern and see if you can then figure out what comes next. Now that I've drawn these circles. And what comes next in the circle and in the box? And I think if you stare at this long enough, you'll see 10, 8, 6, 4, 8, 6, and an 8, 6, 4. Sorry, a 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6. So what you see is two patterns of numbers. All they've done is they've stuck this set of numbers, this normal pattern, and this normal pattern, which are totally easy to see, but they interleaved these numbers in a way that makes it tricky to see. And let me say that I'm going to write this down. There is no math standard for this. In other words, you have not been taught this way of looking at numbers. The way that I've showed you before, this pattern and these patterns, these arithmetic patterns and these geometric, they call them geometric multiplicative patterns. These are standards that you will learn at some point in your math career. This one is kind of on the edge, but I still think number 2 is useful to understand. Number 3, an interleave pattern, never seen it. You'll never see it again. But you do have to know it for the HSPT multiple times. Now let me show you the final interleave pattern. And boy, this one is crazy hard. But let me just write it down. If you get this one, kudos to you. You're a star. Maybe we'll just do two extra ones and see what we come up with. Now this one, this is type number 4, and this is what I call a triple interleave. And that should maybe give it away, but the triple interleave. Sorry, that's my dog barking. Hey, go on, Annie, go on. Sorry, that's my dog barking away. Okay, so let's look at, now if you try and solve this one, I'm going to give you the hint. Maybe you've already seen it, but I'm going to circle every third one. I'm going to box every second one. And then I'm going to triangle every third one. And now do you see the pattern? So we have every circle is a 1. Every box, every third one, we subtract 1. So if there was another one after that, we would go down to a 7. And on the triangles, every triangle we add 2. So this one here would be a 6. 2, 4, 6. So that's plus 2, like that. So that's what I call the triple interleave. Now I've taught you the 4 different types, which is kind of 5 different types of patterns. Let's go look at 10 problems in a row, and let's see if you can solve them. Now, what you're going to see, bam, this is a problem that might actually appear on your HSPT. And boy, these start to get a little bit tricky, but let's see what we got here. So what we got here is we say, let's look at this a couple different ways. So let's write this down and let's see which of those patterns we can utilize. Well, let's look at it one way and let's go, well, we have, plus 3, plus 5, minus 4, plus 12. Well, that's kind of messed up. So let's look at it a different way. Let's look at it as a double interleave pattern. So let's just put a circle around every other one and see if we can make more sense of this thing. So now we have a plus 8, a plus 8, and here we have plus 1 and a plus 1. Oh, okay, well that looks pretty easy. So our next one in line should be a what? I want you to answer the question. All right, it should be a 6. So we've utilized our double interleave strategy. Now keep track of these. You've got a lot of these double interleave things that we had never seen before. So let's look and let's circle our 6 here and we'll say, bam, we used our tricks to solve this one. Boy, ask your mom or dad this one. Don't give them the choices. Don't tell them about double interleave. I'm going to bet you 50% of them can't get this one. Okay, let's move forward. Let's look at a different series. Now, in some cases, the answers have been circled. That's because the person who did this test before me has already, written some things down. But let's look at this one. And you can almost see that this one is going to be another one of those crazy patterns. It's not going to be one of the standard ones. Not a lot of those out there. Because if you look, you got plus 3, minus 1, plus 3, minus 1, plus 3. Oh, well, maybe this is a normal one. Plus 3, minus 1, plus 3, minus 1, plus 3, minus 1. So we have the next one would be plus 3, which would be 18, minus 1. Okay, good. I like that one. And there we go. So the answer is indeed correct, 1870. Plus 3, minus 1, plus 3, minus 1, on down the line. Okay, now I encourage you on these ones, again, to not wait for me to tell you the answer, but to pause the video. I want you to pause the video and then give it a go. And see if you can figure out what comes next. So pause it and let's take a look. I'm going to see if I can make sense of this one. Okay. We want to know which 2 comes next. Which 2 come next? All right. Well, this is not a normal. Okay, so now I assume you've come back and you've tried this out. So let's look at this. This is plus 16, minus 10, plus 4, plus 6, minus 2. This is not a normal pattern that you can go through. If you just try and do your plus 16s, minus 10s, that's not going to get you anything that makes any sense. So let's try the every other one pattern. So let's see. 8 to 12 is plus 4, 12 plus 10, plus 2. Now this isn't looking good. Minus 6, minus 4. No, this one isn't looking good. So I think we're going to need to put the triple in play. I think we're going to need to use our triple interleave. I don't like to pull this one out, but I think that's what we're looking at here. So let's do our triple interleave, and let's see if I can graphically do this for you. All right. This is looking good. Okay, let's do that. Let's do boxes for this one. Let's do boxes. And let's use a yellow underline for the next ones. Okay, so what I see on the pink boxes, and so if we kept going, this would be a 1, 2, 3. This would be a box. And if I kept going, this last one would be a yellow underline. So on I see on our box pattern, we have all 22s. So let's just go ahead and put our 22 in there. And then on our circles, I see 8, 16, 24. I would see that's plus 8, plus 8. I would see a 32, but we don't have to answer that one. The next one we have to figure out is this 12, 20. That's plus 8. And so I would expect to be a 28 for our next one, right? This is plus 8, and then this would have to be plus 8, which would be, again, 28. So I think our answer is 22, 28, and the answer is right there. Wow, we had to put in our triple interleave. Oh my goodness. I guarantee you there is no standard for this that you will ever learn, and you will only see it in HSPT class, which you can pay $100 an hour for. You can get into, if you're tutoring, a class might cost you 40, 50 bucks an hour. But here from Mr. Lipscomb, today only, you have an internet special, and this is free. It is free. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see what comes into play. Okay, what do we got here? 1 7/8, 3/4, 5/8. So this is a fraction question. Let's see, if you can put these into eighths. If I think about all these things as eighths, it makes it really easy to see. So 1 would be 8/8, 7/8, 3/4. If you could convert that correctly, is 6/8, and then 5/8. So the next would be 4/8. But 4/8 simplified is 1/2. So I think B, 1/2 is correct. This is just a normal arithmetic sequence. This is type 1. This is a legit, what I call legit standard. You need to know how to do this, not just for this test, but it's a pattern that reproduces itself in the real world. It reproduces itself in mathematical standards. I hope you took the time to solve that one on your own. Let's look at this series. Now, I want you to solve this on your own and see if you can come up with the pattern. Maybe you're going to start seeing some things in these numbers and these pattern types without me having to solve them for you. I know that you guys want to do well on this HSPT score. Helps get you into high school. And let's see what comes next. All right. I hope you pause, and now let's give it a try. Let's see if we can find a double pattern. Let's see if we +3, +6, -9. Okay, this is definitely going to be some kind of interleave pattern, almost for sure. Let's think about this. Let's look at every other one. Let's go +9, +6. Well, maybe it's +3. This one here, if it was in every other one pattern, this would be a -3 times 2. There's something not right about that as a skip a double interleave pattern. Let's try the triple interleave pattern. Let's see if that one makes sense for us. Oh, this is looking good. And then we have 24 to 36. Oh, I'm liking this. This is feeling pretty good. So here I have 21, 21, 21. And I have a 21 here, but before we make sure, let's see, this would be +12, and this would be +12. So I think we have a good pattern. I think we can be pretty confident that on this triple interleave pattern that the right number is indeed 21 that would go in that next spot. I can't really be sure, but the best guess I have is that this is a triple interleave. I don't see another pattern that fits these numbers, and this makes a ton of sense, and I could justify this one. Certainly, if this was a math test with a math teacher in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade at St. Simon, you could go to that teacher and argue convincingly that this would indeed be a 21, and showing this triple interleave logic, they would be required, in fact, to give you full credit for that question in putting down a 21. And I'm pretty sure the answer to this one is indeed 21. All right, let's look here at one more question. We have a couple more to go. This one we've actually done before. We did this in our example set. See if you can recognize this pattern. I'll give you a hint. It is a standard pattern. All right. Let's look at it this way. 2, 1, 1/2, 1/4. Well, this is divided by 2. 1 divided by 2 gives you a half. If you cut, a half divided by 2 is a quarter, and so then you get an eighth. So this indeed is the right answer, 1/8. Just cutting it in half, 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 get an eighth. The next one would be 1/16, and so on. All right. Okay, what do we have here? We have another question. Let's see here. 20. So why don't you solve this one on your own, and we'll try and analyze this one a couple different ways. All right. Hope you tried this on your own. Let's look at this. So we got -2 + 1, -2 + 1. Oh, this one's actually kind of a normal pattern. So we got -2 + 1, -2 + 1, -2 + 1. I think the answer is 26. I think we can be confident that, 24. Let's see. I think that answer is wrong. I think the answer is 26. I'm going to count this one wrong. Again, -2 + 1, -2 + 1, -2 + 1. Answer is indeed 26 on this one. You got a standard. This is just a standard skip pattern, not an interleave. All right, let's look at this one. A little bit fuzzy. Oh, look at this. They leave us kind of a blank in the middle. See if you can make sense of the patterns. Will still work the same way, but it's just going to require a little bit different logic as you solve it. What number goes in the blank? All right, I hope you've tried this one, and I think you can see that this is an interleave pattern. Whoops. We have on the bottom, on the second, fourth, and sixth, we have a -3 pattern. We have a +2 pattern on the top ones. So we got a 14 that goes in here. So clearly that's a 14. So you see how these interleave patterns work and how the geometric series works? Let's see. Let's look at this one. Let's see if we can come up with another set of another example. I think there's a couple ways. Sometimes the interleave and the skip patterns also will give you the same answer. We can look at it two ways. Try this one on your own, and then we'll come to solve it. Pause. Okay. So let me show you this one two different ways. So this one's +1, +3, +1, +3, +1. So this should be +3, and the answer should be 15. There's another way, though, to come up with this one, and let's look at it like this. Let's look at this as an interleave pattern. So here we have +4, +4, +4. So here it should also be 15, because here we have +4 and +4. So every other one is +4. So we could count on that one being 16 coming next, but they only ask us for the next one, so 15. So there's two ways. So these interleave patterns in the every other one pattern, this kind of the skip pattern, can sometimes both give you the right answer, and that's fine. You can try it both ways, as long as the pattern makes sense. Wait a minute, we already did this. We just did this one, right? We just did this one. This is a double. Okay, let's have a look at this guy. Give it a go, pause the video, and we'll come back and see what sense we can make of this one. All right, let's look at this guy. -2, -5. Oh, this one's going to work out nice. -2, -5, -2 is 15. I challenge you to look at this as an interleave pattern as well. So look at it from this perspective, and you get -7, -7, and here you get -7, -7, and you'd also end up with 15. So either way is fine. Let's look finally at the last one, and this is a kind of a different pattern. I showed it to you early on as an example. So pause the video and see if you can come up on your own with the answer to this one. This one's different. It's not just adding. It's adding. It'll be multiplying and adding in a skip pattern. So let's. Okay, assume you've tried it. Hopefully you're back. So let's see. What do I do to get every other one? This is a ×2, and this is a ×2. So I should, ×2. And on the every other one, I get -8. -8. So here I should get -8, and I should get a 56. Right. Okay, very good. So what we've learned in this video is that the HSPT is comprised of a lot of, at least the quantitative section is comprised of a lot of different types of series. One series that you're going to see is going to be like just a straight add pattern that will look like this or like this. And again, I encourage you on the test to write these differences out, or these changes out between all the numbers, so that you can see the patterns. And then your answers become straightforward. And sometimes it's not an add pattern. You got to look at a divide or a multiply pattern. The second thing you might see is every other number or every other set of numbers will have one pattern. So all going from 1 to 2, you'll multiply by 2, 2 to 3, -10, ×2, -10. You'll go back and forth between numbers. The third type is this interleave pattern, where the numbers really don't have anything to do with each other, that are next to each other. It's the ones that are the odd numbers will be in a pattern, and then the even numbers will be in a pattern. If you put a box and circle around them like this, you'll see that pattern very quickly emerge. And then again, the final pattern is called the triple interleave, where it's the first and the fourth and the seventh and the 10th are the same pattern, and then the second, fifth, and the 8th are the same, and then the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and so on are all the same. So the triple interleave. So hopefully this was a useful video for you. I hope it brings your HSPT score and just kicks it through the roof. Let me know if there's any other HSPT questions or questions about series that I can help you with. I know I went a little fast. Take the time to go back and view the video again, or pause me often. Hopefully again this was helpful, and I appreciate. Thank you once again. Talk to you later. Bye.